Hi, my name is Marco Santana. This is my college car. It's got some wheels and an exhaust. That's about it.
Why did they stop making these cars? No, really. Why? Hello Internet, and welcome to another episode of College Cars. This is a 2012 Mazdaspeed 3 that belongs to Marco, who is an operations management major at the University of Alabama.
Dream car, probably 1989. Porsche Carrera, RWB, baby blue with 3-piece rotiform wheels, gold wheels to be exact.
The 2012 Mazdaspeed 3 was part of the short-lived second generation of the Mazda 3 that only ran from 2010 to 2013. It was based on the C1 architecture, as was the first generation Mazda 3. In a textbook display of globalization, this platform was shared with the Ford Focus and a few different Volvos. 3 countries on 3 different continents, all coming together in one automotive package. The Mazdaspeed 3 is by far the most exciting of the versions offered in the United States, though the ballistic 5-cylinder Ford Focus RS was available elsewhere. The Speed 3 featured a 2.3-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder. This Turbo 4 made 263 horsepower at 5,500 RPM and 280 pound-feet of torque at 3,000 RPM. Take a minute to imagine this today. More power than a Golf GTI or Focus ST at a similar price, and with a little work it could fit in with the big guns like the Golf R or Focus RS, or at least the Civic Type R. I digress. The Mazdaspeed 3 came with a 6-speed manual transmission and weighed in at 3,250 pounds. This one is mostly stock, with only a set of Vossen forged wheels, an aftermarket exhaust, and a Cobb shift knob put on. The exhaust note from this car isn't what I would expect to hear from a 4-banger, but the sound closer to Subaru than Honda. That being said, it's not quite the Subi rumble either.
Future plans, don't know if I'll ever actually do them, because 1, I'm a college student, 2, I'm broke, and 3, I'd rather do it on a nicer car. But if I were to be specific, I'd like to get a drop to kill the wheel gap a little bit, maybe an intake, a blow-off valve, powder cut the brakes, and if I'm feeling myself moving, maybe a vinyl wrap and like a flat red.
According to Marco, this car does have the typical torque steer, but when driven at a quick but reserved pace, it handles much better than I'd assume a front-wheel drive car should. I think that has something to do with its relatively low weight and short gearing. I'm not exactly sure what those gear ratios are. If you want to know, I'm sure they're out there somewhere. But I know that they're short and close together because it revs to 4,000 RPMs at half throttle faster than most cars do when they're floored. The interior is what you would expect from a hatchback, but the patterns on the seats and the door sills look pretty cool. The exterior styling is typical of a vehicle in its class, though the grille is somewhat questionable. It has grown on me, but there's still a little too much plastic in one place for my taste. Regardless of how you feel about the black plastic, it gets some points back for having a functional hood scoop that feeds air into the intercooler. Going back to the question I asked at the very beginning, a Road and Track article I found from October 2012 says the loss of the Mazda CX-7 likely contributed to the demise of the Speed 3. The reason the CX-7 was so important to the Mazdaspeed 3 is that it provided Mazda with a business case to keep making a 2.3-liter turbo engine. After it was discontinued, Mazda couldn't justify making an engine in such small quantities. Today, the only thing similar to this in Mazda's lineup is the CX-9 2.5-liter turbo, but it only produces 227 horsepower. Theoretically, it wouldn't be very difficult to crank up the boost a little and throw it in the hatchback, but it probably wouldn't generate enough revenue to justify doing so. The competition I mentioned earlier might also be discouraging Mazda from reviving the Speed 3, since cars like the Golf GTI and Focus ST usually received better reviews when they existed simultaneously. Before I defeat my own argument, I'll stop talking. Thanks for watching.
Essentially.
No idea what made that noise just then.
That's awkward.